everybody, welcome back to Wappelville. We're gonna do this bust here because, well, that's what I got ready. That's all we had ready to go here. So we're gonna do this. We could do some fun skin tones because we have some references again. Let me show this here. Okay, there's a reference over there. So this should be fun for some skin tones, I think. And the eyes, especially the one on the left-hand side there with the greenish eyes there. I think we'll do something like that. So Armored Wolf, here's the... Oh, here we go. Here's the stickers right here. A Landrast. Yeah, these worked out pretty good, I gotta say. Didn't come out too bad at all. So yeah, and of course this is that water bottle is on its way with that on it. So Landrast, that's quite the spool pile of casualties there. Speaking of piles of loot, maybe this Loot Studio Sphere. This is what we did last night. So that was actually. Yeah, that red being dry and not even the next day. When you've ever heard of that? That is the power. That's the power of the alkyds for sure. Let's have at this here. Where's my... There you are. I know I just had you right here somewheres. I'm going to do some of this and some of this, and then we're going to do some of this here. So yeah, Armored Wolf, Lynn gave me this during Adepticon. Never got a chance to mess around with it, so I thought, well, alright, whatever. Let's just fool around with it now, see what happens. So Landrast, yeah, I'm still trying to print out those barrel. I got to print out the giant one, which is going to be an 8-piece thing. 4 pieces for basically the bottom or the ground, whatever you want to call it, and then 4 pieces to make the top. I didn't even get a chance to get that print going before I had to do this. Although the next that is rendering now, Landrast. Yeah, finally. And it's the longest video ever. It's I think it's 3 hours 15 minutes long. But I mean, the extra 15 minutes, of course, went into the extra painting right here that we're not going to have to do. Well, now the extra hour or so. That's what we would normally have to do on just all of our other videos. So in some ways, it kind of saved a bit of time. Actually, the other videos might not be quite as long, or it means I'll just have more time for more in-depth things on those. So I mean, that's all good. At least it should be. Yeah, let's do that here. And up here, because raisins, I'll take either one. Never did get that ear over there. Yeah, these things just fall apart here. Yeah, sure, let's just do a little something lighter on there. Now let me get some of this out of here. Let's do something on the hair for Blades. How you doing there, Blades? So great to see you, Blades. I hope that you had yourself some fun today at the convention, and hopefully you got a chance to say hello to the Creature Caster folks for me. At first I was thinking, man, that's a small event for them to be at, but it's at least it's somewhat more home for them, right, Blades? Not quite as out of the way as, say, well, I don't know, an Adepticon. Nah, thanks for doing that, Blades. Appreciate that. And again, everybody, please give Blades81 a follow. Maybe wait a little bit, Blades, before you post anything in the chat, so we get more focuses in here. Now here, this thing here, that's at first I thought that was leaves. Then, well, it's probably feathers, but I'm gonna actually just make that leaves again because I kind of liked the idea of the green. And I don't know if you get a chance to see these, but these are the references that we're going to work from here. So see those leaves there? I just thought, that's actually kind of neat because that's again what I thought these were, and I'm gonna roll with that because I think that would be kind of fun. So we're moving in that direction. Here you are. There you are. Let me get this here. Little touch of that in here. Oh, that's what I need. It's like, where's my reference? We'll get that going. Let me do this. That's over here. I'm going to get rid of these other ones. We don't need those two. 1 second here. Let me just get this out. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing here. Nice to see you there, Double D. Appreciate you being here. Happy Saturday to one and to all. Now, Blades, is this a regular kind of a Friday, Saturday, Sunday convention, or was it more like a one-day event sort of thing? And you get maybe a little thinner on that. I'm glad that you were able to do that class there, Blades, for sure. Geez, Landris, I can only imagine. I mean, that thing is, it's going to be a monstrosity. And of course, well, the Blades, we got people in the chat if you wanted to share your stuff. Now, same thing there, Double D. You want to share some stuffs in the chat. Now we got folks here. We got folkses here with eyeballs that can maybe see that. Maybe drop some of that into here. Again, this ain't rocket surgery. It never is. Need to hit the top of that a little bit more. The ear. Let's not forget the ear over there. Everybody, please check out that Insta link there that Blades just shared, and please, of course, do the follow thing and all the stuff. Where's that? Yeah, let's do that here. Okay, we got that a little under there too. And our stream last night, this is what we painted. Again, that Loot Studios fig, and basically it's just about completely dry already. Yes, that was done with the oil paints. And so it's just a one-day thing. Hey there, Pura Vida. Happy Saturday. Well, it's still a happy Saturday. So again, this video is rendering now. I'll be uploading this, and probably, what the heck is today? 26, 27, so probably like on the 28th or something like that. We'll get that one posted to the Patreon page. Everybody, please check out that Discord link that Double D just shared. I'm going to roll with some of this here. Let's do that. Kind of tinting things along the way here. Nope, more of an orangey something or other up there. Of that in here. Now, I will use you. Where's my... Come on, look at my green here. Maybe get a little... Ooh, not that much thinner. Well, it's maybe not so bad. Maybe not so bad. And a little of that down here. Some of that over here. Just lighten that up a touch just by using this is kind of like a semi-blending brush right here. No problem there, Landrast. I'll save all the beaks for when you get back on. Just let me know. I'll put that over here now. Yep, I'm gonna keep going with this down here. Press that up there. Now let's do some super quick glazy-ish type things. Maybe with this here. Auburn. What do we want to? Well, okay, we can roll with this. The asphaltum would have been nifty, but what about this and a smidgen? Oh, actually, I do have for funsies. I don't even know if I'll even get a chance to use it here, but I put this out here. I tried this. Oh, come on, get out of the way. I tried using this once in a color theory and oils video, and it was hideous. So we'll try this again. Again, I'm not sure what I can even use it for, but we'll give it a shot there. So actually, well, you know the color charts. You've seen the color charts plenty of times, but maybe try it just in black and white, right? So that way you don't have to even think about color. Just like this is Van Dyke Brown and Brilliant Yellow Pale. Maybe do something like that. Actually, if you make it even more of a sepia type of a thing, D, or something like that, maybe it could be like a noir, right? If you use a Payne's gray or an indigo or something like that, it would actually look like it you totally intended it to be that way. Hey there, Velfair. Actually, Velfair, believe it or not, this is a little bit later. This is actually a little bit later than I wanted it to be. And Velfira, here's the stickers arrived today. I think I did send you pictures of these. So yeah, these stickers showed up today. These are already on the merch merch part of the channel there. So they're already up on the merch. Okay, fine. I'll just mix some of that violet in here. And we're just going to start doing some glaze. Now, asphaltum would have been perfect for this. But I'm just kind of playing around with what I've got here. Nice to see you there, Ryan. And D, I've got several videos with blue skin. Actually, this is up on the YouTube channel already. D, look at that, blue skin. It was pretty easy. It was Russian blue and lighter colors. Nice as hey. Speaking of blue, how you doing there, Russian blue? And of course, Ryan, if you want to share stuff in the chat, Ryan, yeah, I'm sorry, but kind of glad. I don't know if it's kind of the same for you there, Ryan, where you're just kind of but kind of it might be kind of going a little bit of each way, right, Ryan? But yeah, Ryan, post your stuff in the chat there so people can see that, and hopefully, well, you'll have some new stuff to post soon. Nice to see you there, Professor Graham. And everybody, please give Russian Blue Art a follow as well. So Russian Blue, you want to share some stuffs in the chat, please go ahead. And yeah, Velfira, it was part home repairs today. It was part British baking show, and I had to get very creative with that because let's just say the instructions there were no instructions. Because unlike the red velvet cake, there was no cupcake recipe for that, so I had to completely guess on everything. And I never even got a chance to start my next prints. It was that kind of crazy. Well, there was a bunch of stuff that arrived. There was an air conditioner that arrived. There was a dehumidifier that arrived. There was the lock for the fence or the new gate in the back. That's one of the things I was working on. I was trying to seal up a window, which I think I'm just going to have to try to replace that one. This is, of course, the cuisine channel, right, Velfira? Yeah, Velfira, I had no chance to prep anything. In fact, I basically just grabbed this thing at about 8 o'clock and no, about 8:30 and said, well, this is it. I edited the video while that, just as that was starting, I went in and kind of did some of the graphics. And that was it. That's all the time there were. That was it. Let me get a little bit more of that. I hope that's not too much of the violet there. So Pura Vida, I hope that today was a decent day for you. And Pura Vida, have you eaten all of the stuff that you made the other day? Is that all gone, or did you manage to maybe save some of it, maybe even freeze some of it for later consumption? So Velfair, there were instructions for basically a regular pound cake. Again, with the red velvet thing, there was instructions for cake. There was instructions for cupcakes. This, there was just cake. Nothing else. So I just had to basically guess about how long it should be in there, what the temperatures should be. And having never done any of that kind of stuff before, the last 2 times, my guesses have been pretty much dead on. Everybody, please check out the video, or sorry, the link that Ryan just shared. Oh, thanks, Ryan. Oh, Ryan, yeah. What's weird, Ryan, is all of those videos that I've been sending to the new YouTube channel. Well, somehow the stupid setting went from private to public, so people have actually been watching those. But that's where all of this stuff's got to go. Every day I try to transfer at least 5 or 6 of those things. I've got basically about 22 days of transferring stuff. So I can maybe get 120 some odd transferred, maybe, from this point till cancellation. Now, Pura Vida, I'm sure they must have really loved it. Okay, so we got that in place. Now we're going to try and fool around with something here. Thanks for posting a link to the merch channel there, Armored, or the merch part of the channel, Armored Wolf. Appreciate that. So I'm just going to hit these super quick here. So yeah, Vilfra, I basically just had to kind of take a wild stab at it and say, well, okay, the other ones were in this long at this temperature. Not sure how similar this is consistency-wise, but we're just going to chuck it in there and we'll see what happens. It passed the toothpick test, which was shove a steak knife in there, because I don't have any toothpicks. We gotta get that green under there. Okay, well, now we got that. These things here going to be more of a... Where's my phthalo green? Yeah, let me get the... Where you hiding? There you are. So Veilfair, I think I sent you pictures of them. But this was the lemon recipe, so it's kind of a lemon glaze or something like that over the top of it. Now the grocery store did have that same icing that I got last time. It was 4 for $6 or something like that. So I got 4 containers. 2 of them were cream cheese. Oh, and I got another thing, a red velvet. So I can make the red velvet ones again, Velfera. So yeah, Velfera, I'll show you the pictures in a bit. I just here. Let me get this stuff on there so this has a chance to set. Okay, just doing again some glazy stuff there. Pura Vida, that is something that I would really like to do here. Yeah, I would really like to do that here. We used to have a bunch of curry stuff. I ended up mostly making that for Kathy, so I have to try and get some more of that so I can make a curry chicken again. So D, we always we strongly advise, right? And maybe have a couple of things to work on at the same time instead of just one thing, so that you don't get out over those skis and have a bit of an accidente. Valfera, actually, the top layer of our wedding cake, the one that we made ourselves, was actually a carrot cake, which was ill-advised because once I put the Sculpey statue type thing of the two of us on top of there, it immediately started listing to port. And yeah, that had to come off the cake, because that was getting to be a disaster waiting to happen right there. I'm actually wondering, do I want... Let me maybe go a little darker with that. Here. Actually, I think I can zoom in maybe. Let zoom in here. I wish I had the "Don't be hasty" sticker, but don't be hasty. Don't be hasty, little hobbitses. That never ends well for hasty hobbits. Don't be hasty. Gonna throw me a little bit more of that over there. Maybe even on the ears, like you do. So yeah, Velfira, again, I was pretty glad that I could at least sort of vaguely transfer the instructions to some degree. Ryan, did you get any of the Paul Rubens Alkids? I don't remember. Probably not, because you've been, well, a little bit busy, right? You've had a few other things going on. I'm going to try and take some of the more of this and get that down into here. Also over here. Down into there. More of my, more of the orange. Up there. Not quite what we wanted for that. This actually could get a little bit of that green down here. Soften up the corners. Let me try to darken these down. Yeah, Ryan, I guess what would you say for as far as increasing your drying time and such? I know we were trying to find percentages on stuff. You know, kind of the ratio that you thought that maybe enhances it. Well, Dee, thank you so much for being here again. Appreciate that. Yeah, so Dee, just to give that a thought there, you know, doing the value study type thing, and of course, as always, less is more. What is more? It's always going to be way too much. Way too much. We want less, not more. Gonna throw me some more of this dark down here. So Blades, again, I'm glad you had a chance to do that, especially since it's just a one-day event then. That is too much. Oh, look, it's like I got me an eraser. Just like an eraser. Darken you down just a smidge over there. Now we gotta start thinking about the eyes. Let me get some of this blue in here, maybe. Oh, by the way, we're 26 minutes in. Yep, not even a half hour yet. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Whoops, let me get to the stuff I actually broke down here. We'll fill that in a little more. I'm sure just not having to worry about all this stuff at once probably was a little bit helpful, right, Valfera? I mean, all I know, all kidding aside, you know, in watercolor class, that really did help a bunch. We weren't super happy about it at the time, but ultimately that did work out pretty well in our favor. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of the brighter red there. See what happens with this. Valfera, geez, do you have any pictures of that, Valfera? If you got any instas of that or something like that, that could actually be very helpful for folks maybe to see in the chat there. Let me see if I can throw a little bit of that up here. And now trying to really accentuate some rosiness there. Where is there's our fast matte white and some of our basically Charosa, a little touch of the yellow. This is also pretty darn thin here. And now again, this is a little bit more of the liquid on there, which is why we can put this on here and it actually kind of adheres to what's on the bust already. And then we can come back and do some smoothing on that, right, Grey Wolf? So Grey Wolf, glad you got a chance to play some more Jimmy there. And of course, Grey Wolf, if you want to share anything in the chat, please go ahead. So great to see you there, Grey Wolf, and glad that you're able to get a chance to do that, of course. Let me try to move that over that way a little more. And of course, Grey Wolf, if you want to share any of your fabulous journeys in Middle Earth figures in the chat, of course, please go ahead and do that. So folks can see all the fabulous figures you've been doing, which is a bunch of them, right, Grey Wolf? There's quite a few of them that you've done. Let me cut that off there. Gotta make sure we get this in here. So everybody please check out that link that Valfira just shared. That is an Insta link there. So thanks for putting it up there, Valfira. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll go here. Let me get a little something lighter on that schnoz over there. A little bit more of our light up here again. I'm just going to move in here with some of this lighter stuffs, like you do. Let's start to think about something lighter here on the collarbone. And of course we'll get after it with our blending brushes too. Basically just throwing something on here right now. And of course whoops, where are they? Here they are. We'll try out these guys here. I'll try to film a video tomorrow with those. That ought to be interesting. All right, some more of our little tap, tap, tap here. Definitely down here, trying to soften up some of that. Same deal here. Start pulling this stuff over, over to the left. Actually, Velfer, I think I know I sent you pictures of all the reorganizing stuff. I actually have another batch of the clear bins coming this way. Because being able to actually see what the heck is in there. Yeah, actually, speaking of which, Armored Wolf, I'm guessing there was no way you could get a chance on the start of your reorganization stuff today. Because, well, again, for me, it was all about doing the home repair stuff. And and thanks again yesterday or last night there, Velfira, for the ladder fund. I'm gonna try to. Well, actually, I was gonna look for a ladder and a window. I was gonna just take measurements of the window, see if Home Depot has anything that's like basically one of their pre-made windows that would actually fit somewhat in that space, even if I maybe have to add some boards or something like that to narrow it down. I can always make it smaller, can't make it any bigger. I'm glad you're able to get some stuff done there, Artemichael. Is this, nope, we haven't gotten our lighter stuff over. So again, this is the thing that these brushes do well, is effectively, again, work like a micro filbert brush. Here, let me do this. So we're kind of in a similar situation. I think it was it this last Monday where I wasn't sure. And then on this Monday was, okay, was it 2 Mondays ago, where I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stream because of craziness. So yeah, it's they keep talking about that for this Monday, so it could be a later stream or something like that, which is sort of what happened. Well, either last Monday or the Monday before. I think it was the Monday before. So it's just kind of everything will be contingent this coming Monday. No matter what, it would be orc ships. It would be more of the orc ships, so that's what you'd be seeing. If there is a regular Armada Monday. Yeah, now just starting to do this thing where we're doing the little tap, tap, tap. I'm going to take that here, maybe bring some of that down to a few of these areas here. Because so glad that you could at least get some stuff done out there in the garage, Armored Wolf. Again, for me, it was all exterior stuff on the house. And there will be more of that yet to do. Again, I got at least the gate, and the lock did show up. I have to try and set the lock, but at least there is now a gate mechanism on the fence. Well, there's a latch now on the gate. And of course, Grey Wolf, I was going to try to have, if I can, those either the mounted baristas ready to do for Kentucky Derby weekend, or at least maybe one of the Song of Ice and Fire cav units or something like that. Actually, I would really love to do, because I've got the Davale Galadrim cav actually printed out. If I can try and get those on bases for this, maybe I can try and do that during the week to see if maybe those would be ready by the weekend for the Friday, Saturday stream. Little more of that light there, and then we kind of have to leave the skin tone alone just a little bit. We'll be going back into this. There's much more yet to do. I mean, we're exactly 40 minutes in here. That's it. I'm thinking that we have made some progress for 40 minutes. Just throwing that out there. Pull that down this way a little. Then I'm thinking here, well, let me try and do something with the eyes first, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, Valfera was had to go up on that ladder again today, but I'm hoping at least for now that would at least take care of the immediate need. Now let me try this here. And I think we will go in that direction. Trying to do something with the greens here. This is very much just a mid-tone green. You know what? I'm going to need to get some of that up here. So that's going to... Okay, that settles that. There's just so much with all the reds. I'm going with this. We're going to go with a combo of the red and the green here. So I'm hoping with something very, well, hopefully ordering windows is also a common thing, along with, say, articulating ladders, and Home Depot will just will deliver those. That would be super helpful if they do. I'm just saying. I'm going to throw a little something lighter down here, maybe. Also, I need to get a little, some kind of light in there. Valkyria, it seems it's one of those things where it was the first round, and I guess it's hard to tell what percentage less, but because it's more going after stray cells as opposed to trying to nuke everything, it's not as potent as what the mix was in those first 6 rounds. Which is good, because obviously, again, there's it's not quite well, you know how it is after the pound of cure is worth 10 times. You know, I mean, it can be a rough and tumble thing, just the cure, right? I just remember, was it 9 of those that you had to do, Valfira, or was it like a dozen of those? And I know just how much you were looking forward to those things. Was it every month, or was it every 6 weeks? Now you can see that's a little bit more of the yellow in there. That actually has a bit of yellow in it. It's still not white, I can tell you that. Lighten up that side. Carry this over a little further that way. But yeah, Grey Wolf. Oh, and I saw the pictures of the gaming group there. That was really cool. That seemed like a whole bunch of folks there, Grey Wolf. I mean, obviously there was, people kind of in multiple images. It wasn't every single person was different in the images, but it did look like there was a bunch of folks there for that. Yeah, Vilfir, I mean, that was, with the brain thing here that Kathy had, that was, they did the radiation on that, because, well, there's really no other way. And then again, maybe we might eventually backtrack a little bit on that as far as some of the lighter yellowish stuff there, but again, that's going to have to set. We're going to have to kind of leave some of that alone, and we're going to start moving around to some other areas here too. Let me hit some of this over here, and again, that just is going to have to, we'll just have to wait. We'll also start getting some of the lighter stuff under here. We're just waiting for some of the shinies to go away on the hair before we try doing something like that. Now this is that sap green. It's a much warmer green. And that's the Gamlin stuff there. it's also even darker over the top here. So I was hoping with this having, well, obviously the larger eyes here, that maybe we could have some fun doing a little bit with the eyes, maybe. That is too much on there. Let's see, hit that from that side a little more. Might even need, let me see if I can do a little bit of a, almost like a shadow on the eye here. That's definitely got some violet to it. That is the shadow side of the eye, and it's big enough where you would actually have a sort of, well, a shadow portion in the eye. Ooh, that is way too... Right here, let's lighten that up if we're going to have this. I need a little more shadow here then, if we want to have that read as a light coming from that side. Maybe get a little more of this dark here. Just use you as a as a really tiny filbert brush here. Let me, well, something more there. I might actually, here, let me get a little bit of this. Up there, where's that same brush again? Now we're talking there. Let me steal this brush again, and now I'm going to start putting in something like this here on the fabrics. I wonder, do I have my, where did my Loot Studios one go? She's hiding somewhere else. The Galadriel that we did with the translucent cloth. But here is, see that's a bit of a color thing. That's not so much a value. It's going to be as much about color as it is anything else. Throw again a little bit of that almost kind of a turquoise type color onto the, here, let me lighter, more of the blue there. We need some of that down here. But you can see why we put some of the skin tone on there first, so that this can collide with it and mix just on the fly instead of me having to think about color mixes. Just letting it do it on its own. Why not? So Velfira, it's this was actually already primed gray when it was given to me. It was printed obviously in this bluish gray right here. I couldn't tell you who makes this. No idea, unfortunately. This was given to me at Adepticon. And I was saving it for a video, and then I realized, well, nope, I got nothing here that I can work on. So yeah, none of the Trench Crusade stuff is prepped. It was primed in the red-brown primer. The autocorrect monster is it's a very harsh creature, is it not, Valfira? So no green primer here. It would have been interesting. I think it would have been pretty darn fun actually to paint this over green primer. I think we'll have to arrange a video for that because that would be super fun. Where's that? I'm gonna make sure I get a little bit of that crazy seafoam green on here too. More of my blue now. And then once we get the actual color around here, then we can start going into it with the white to lighten it up. But you actually have to at least have this much first. And well, we're still not 1 hour in. We are still only 53 minutes in here. Now this is starting to beat this brush up here. It's definitely starting to get a little bit of doggy on there. Speaking of some green, I'm going to throw in a little more green now out here, that some of our skin tones have had a chance to set for a spell. Some of that over here. Let's get some of that back here now. Okay, we can. That's not dry. I can still mix with that. More of that greenishness. Oh, there's also still some of the glazy stuff from the hair. So we gotta still wait on the hair. We will not be hasty little hobbitses here. Get more of that lighter skin tone into these greens. That's what I needed up there. So without these greens, they're just too much of the pinkish stuff. I mean, these are not exactly the most insanely dark shadows ever. So see, now that got a little tint of the green on it. Maybe we'll try some a little darker here. Again, to try and represent a little bit of a shadow there, maybe. Darken this down a little more. Boy, that paint is already starting to set over there. That is wild. trying to get a little bit of a dark in the cheekbone there. Maybe a little something on this one, not as much. Since again, that's supposed to maybe be in some kind of light there. Is that going to be too dark for that? Maybe. It's almost a little bit of the loaded dry brush there. Or loaded blending brush, that's it. Down here, yeah, let me just... some more of that over here. Now I'm going to start to think about the hair. How do we want to lighten that up? We'll try this right here, maybe a little bit of this red. Start with almost a bit of a dry brush here. Hey there, Banco. Nice to see ya. So, Banco Arathu was in the chat yesterday, well, last night anyways. Everybody please give Banco buckets to follow. And of course, Banco, if you want to share anything in the chat there, stuff you've been working on, that'd be fabulous. Where's our thing? Ah, here it is. There's our pirate lady from last night, right there. Again, so appreciate you being here, Banco. Pop in a little bit more of this orange, and yeah, I can see that there is still some of the glazy stuff. We're gonna have to let that set some more. I still do some of this though. In the meantime. And then, well, yeah, down there, I'll just let that set because I can see it's, yeah, we're going to let that set. I might actually play around with some of this here. And maybe some of that down here too. Let's get some of, there we are. And again, we're using our micro filbert brush here. Yep, we got just enough of that kind of basically turquoise, grayish turquoise color there. Blades, yeah, I had to do a lot of guessing with that blades because there was literally no instructions on the box for doing cupcakes with it. And I actually had more success with the icing of it when they were hot out of the oven than when I cooled them down. So that was another lesson learned. So we'll, let me just get this a little bit of this light on here, Valfira, so that we can contrast what this looks like and what this looks like in film noir. So yeah, let's not go too far on that side with it. I'm just going to stick with this side first with our light here. Come on, there you go. Get a little bit more of that right over here. Again, you can see it's mixing because it's, well, look at the brush, right? It's got some color on there. It's the wettest dry brush ever, right, Valfira? This is all a dry brush, yet it's all mixing wet into wet. Again, that is the power of the oil paints. Never doubt the power of the oils, right, Grand Oracle? And the things that they can do. Here, let me get a little bit more of this. Over here. Yeah, fine, more up there. Whatever. All right. So film noir time. Away with the color. Um, all of a sudden, our translucent fabric doesn't look so translucent, right, Velfira? I figured that that was going to be. I mean, it's sort of, kind of, maybe can be. Nowhere near as when we just had that smidge of color. That's all. I mean, look, even there. That's at like 20%. Closer we get to 50, the more translucent that gets. Boom. Color change. Color change. Valfira, I think, well, actually, I think you heard I got another one of the red velvet cake mixes. Because, hey, now we're expert in red velvet cake. We'll conquer the other recipes later. Yeah, Blades, definitely give it a shot. And, of course, film noir, right? So here we go. Now, this is a... Let me grab this. So, from last night... Oh, let me see. What is it? It's 12:03. So, about, I want to say 18 or maybe 19 hours ago, I was still painting this. And even the reds, those are dry. All this other stuff is very easily dry, but even the reds are dry. That is just an amazing thing. Yeah, all that is dry. So this is dry, and I was still, as of what, about 4 something o'clock this morning, I was still painting this thing. And there's several different types of alkyds. Now again, the ones that you can get everywhere, that would be the Paul Rubens. Now, downside is you got to get them in sets. Now, of course, the Gamlin ones, these don't exist anymore. They canceled these, which is why we have turned to the Winsor Newton Griffin alkyds here. So Grand Oracle, it should just be Linseed Fellowship. Grand Oracle, if you can't locate it, I'll try and shoot you a link there. So yeah, Grand Oracle, it's not, believe it or not, nobody's supposed to be able to see any of the videos. Yeah, it's not supposed to be public at all. I have no idea how it just got changed from private to public on the settings, because I was wondering why all of a sudden there was views on them. I'm like, I haven't looked at any of these. I haven't had time. And then there was getting to be comments on them, and then there was people saying, hey, do you have a second YouTube channel? So again, I'm still doing just dry brush stuff here. So yeah, blades, I got those, was it 4 different icings now? This time I learned, and I got two things of the cream cheese. So we got fromage frosting blades, more fromage, more better. So that is super dark green that I want to get in a couple of spots here on these little gemstones here. Like up there, a little bit up there. So appreciate you being here, Ingones. And again, if you want to share some stuff in the chat, that is all good. You know what, I better just, yeah, I'm going to just take some of the light off of that. I wonder, what state is this in? Let me see what this is doing here. Is this one that I can use for them? Maybe. And I'm going to just, okay, good. You can see what I'm doing there. That is, expand, oh, there was too much thinner on that. Okay. That's fine. We'll just backtrack on that then. No biggie. So yeah, that made a huge difference just right there. Because that is stuff again that I would love to be able to show in some of the. But how many times have you heard me say, "Oh yeah, that's right. It's in the basement" or something like that? Okay, I'm gonna try and get more of the light on that side, and now we need. Actually, I'm gonna change where that light is on the other eye. Which means that needs to go there. And then we need to change this dark again for like the third time over here. On that eye, I spy with my little eye that I gotta get this darker green there. Let me try. Ooh, okay. I gotta get more of that stuff out of there before I grab this magenta stuff. And we have been actually Grand Oracle. I don't know if you were around earlier, but this was a color that I tried once on a color theory and oils vid, and it was woof. It was kind of a disaster. Ironically enough, this does have dioxazine violet in there. So everybody please check out that Trench Crusade object source lighting project there from Inganes. And again, everybody please give Inganes a follow if you could. Let me see if I can tighten up the top of that. And now we also need to perhaps throw a little more dark here on the. And also, oh yeah, on the lower lip maybe. Don't want to do too much there. Maybe also a little bit darker on the eyebrows here. Take some of that and just try. There's a weird hard line there. Let me see. Whoa, wait a minute, let me try this. Let me try some more of this here. That got a little too high on the other side. All right, let me change this a bit. I think we had some of our green in here. Come on. This is that tree green. The stuff from Paul Rubens. Is that too dark? No, it's not too dark. Let's see if I can work some of this into the green over here, and there we go. So that has a little more of a transition point to it. And this, I might make that even a little bit lighter with my warmer green. Let me try this here. Let me try this and see if this is too much. Up here, because I want that to be lighter than that other side. So I'm going to do this. Seems to be doing what I need it to. Yeah, seems like it's doing what we want. So I will try to turn this, I guess, then into a little YouTube video or something like that. Thank you so much, Velfera, for identifying where this is from. Big help. Ooh, I'm gonna get me some more yellow into that, and maybe a little something on these leaves here. Not everywhere's, but try some more. This is not white here, by the way. This is still a yellowish green, so it's actually a color. Next thing I have to start doing is mess around with some of the stuff on the arms, the shoulders, all that, because we had to let that stuff set there. Right, just like with the eyes and some of the stuff on the face, we have to let that set for a while. Don't be hasty, right? Don't be hasty. Just if need be, if you don't have a second miniature to work on, maybe be prepping other figures, basing stuff. There's always something else that you can work on again. If you don't maybe have another figure to paint, and you just really want to just kind of set this off to the side, work on something else. Put you back over there, and let me see what we can do now with some really bright stuff here on our translucent cloth. Still got my blending brush here. And it's a loaded blending brush. There's a bunch of paint on there. I'll also come back into this with some of that almost like a dingy turquoise. Not really sure what would be the best term for it. You know what? That should probably be lighter too. Oh yeah, that's right. Not just skin tone. There's also we had translucent cloth. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, we're doing that too. Yeah, lo and behold, we like to multitask. That is why my tutorial videos kind of include everything. There is no just, oh, we're just going to paint a sword blade and nothing else. Nope, doesn't work that way. Because if you paint that sword blade just completely out of context, okay, well, where's all the reflected light coming from? The reflected color. Example, last night, reflected color. Oh yeah, that's right. If it's supposed to be a shiny sword, and there's this red coat right next to it, and that red coat does not reflect into the metal, wow, that is some very dingy metal right there. It's working again. I see we're getting a little bit of that, turquoise in there. 10K, how you doing? Happy Sunday and all that. Hopefully your Saturday was fabulous. That's right. We did just one of our recent tutorial videos. We painted up what was it? Artisan Guild Auric. Yes, an Artisan Guild Auric. You know what, that should not just be lighter, but we also need to get a little bit more of our turquoise here. I might even let that get a little bit darker. It certainly has some of the green in there too. Now I need to get me some more light over on this side too. Not a whole bunch of the skin tone going to show up there. But that light should sure make a difference. There. I'll be curious to see what the full figure of this looks like. Because sometimes they kind of stay pretty much the same. Sometimes they change dramatically in personality. Like the Guinevere bust is really, really different from the figure. That was another one that I was kind of hoping I could just get together for a stream. There's the green. There's our, well, not Severa's blue. Severa's blue. Again, a little bit more. There we go. More again, some more of that turquoise down in there. This can't be too light down here, because if it is, now this won't really be very much in shadow now, will it? Yep, I'll take that up here. And some of that down here. And it's doing the wet into wet stuff, like it should. Yeah, we need a little more turquoise down in that shadow area. Now we're even at, no, we're not even at 2.5 hours yet, much less 3 hours. I will take, not this brush, maybe. Nah, I don't need the filbert. Let me go with something like this one here. I'm going to try to get, maybe it's a little bit more of our green in the skin over here. Let me take this. We got some of our, actually I'm going to have to get some more of my Terra Rossa out on the palette there. There we are. Separate that green, which kind of worked its way into the skin tone a little. Now, what about over here on the arm and the shoulder? Now that we've got, again, the paint has had a chance to set, I needed this little bit of reflected light over here. Touch more. There we go. In Ganes, it is kind of fun with the oil paints, because you sort of get even, what would you say, even more of a chance to do the old plop and push there in Ganes. Alright, where you can just kind of smash the paint down there, grab another brush, move it around. It's not always the easiest thing to do that right on the really small 28 mil figs. And again, kind of turning this into a micro filbert brush here. me get some of that over here on this arm. Let me do a little bit of brushstroke management over here. Because that probably shouldn't be quite so light, maybe up here. Maybe a bit more of a shadow type of thing should be going on there. Again, see, we're going to unify a little bit of this and now maybe get a little bit more of our light in there. Because again, it's the loaded blending brush, right, Camda? It's all the new hotness, loaded blending brush. I swear I'm gonna have to do one of those. What the heck did they go with the thumb? Oh, clickbait thumbnail or something like that, and just say loaded blending brush, cause just to get people to click on it. And try and sneak. There we go. Also, there. And as I do that, it is mixing. Now let me get a little bit more of the thinner here. So not quite sure why somebody's blowing off fireworks at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. It's not exactly Cinco de Mayo or something like that. I was not expecting fireworks today or at this time. At least I can confirm it's not gunfire, so I'll take that. You take the wins where you can. Now, that was getting way too light there on the collarbone, so we'll take some of that away. And I'll get me a little smidge of that up here now, too. Yep, I'm gonna get some down there. So this is starting to get a little bit more of a smoothing here. Let's go a little lighter, maybe just here, touch of that yellow there. And now that should mix relatively nicely. We'll go even lighter with that. Where's my... Oh, here it is. Look at that. Our microfilbert spreads out even further here. Yeah, just leave him guessing what that is, right, Camda? You draw them, because that's what the clickbait all is, right? You draw them in, and you don't do anything like what you were saying was going to be in the video. Once again, a little more light over here. Again, because we want the light coming this way, right? Yeah, that's what we want. Also going to give me a little more reflected light here. You know what? Probably should make that a little lighter. This tendon right here. Let's do that. That's for sure, right, Camda? Alright, what are we doing here? We're gonna get this a little lighter? Sure. How's about a little something lighter on the ear there? Oh yeah. Shoulder. Lighter. Also, blending. A little lighter on that. Let me try this here. Wow, it already has some yellow infused in it, looks like. So you can see we got that some of that green has worked its way in there too. Nah, that's not quite enough. Let me get a little touch of the rosiness back there. Also a bit more of that in here. Ooh, I can see there's some stuff that's kind of mixed onto that brush. Here, let me refresh this brush super quick here. Hey, there's surface tension. So surface tension, I think I sent you a picture of these, but there's the actual ones. Yeah, these just showed up today, surface tension. They are hot, literally hot off of the presses. Everybody please check out a link that Surface Tension's going to share with some super fabulous painted miniatures. So Surface Tension, you want to share that, please go ahead. I'm going to stay on this side for now. Okay, fine. I am going to get a little bit of the... Now that I think is regular. Yeah, that's regular fast matte white. That's not faster matter white. That is just regular old fast matte white there. So everybody please check out that link that Surface Tension just shared. So yeah, Blades, if I can get this one here and I can print this out 2-3 times this size, can you imagine what we could do with the eyes then? I mean, we can do that with this much smaller one. Yeah, just imagine what we could do if the eyes were like, or the whole head was like 2.5, 3 times this size, maybe bigger. And I think it would print out pretty well. And I think it's all just one, looks like it's all one piece. Right, so if it's printing on this print, I think it should work. I'm going to see if I can't get it just a little bit there. Maybe a little touch more. That's needed right there. Thanks, Blades. Oh, Blades, I mean, I've got those, I have the eyeliner pens now. I'm all set to do 1-to-1 scale bust painting at conventions now. We'll have to use weathering powders on the rest of their face, but at least I can use the eyeliner pens on their eyes. Let me take that, yeah, a little bit of light there, and now we gotta get some of this on this side of the face. Now starting to get a little hint of a some shadow develop in there. Blades, appreciate that, and it really, it's not super difficult. You just have to make sure that your eyeball and even some parts of the pupil, as long as it's kind of attached to the upper eyelid, they won't look like they're psychotic, I guess. That's it. Yeah, because that can happen. They can kind of have a little bit of a psychotic look to them if the eye is not connected, or the pupil and the iris not connected to that upper lid. This is another area I need to get a little light in there if we want that to read as more of a shadow. Doing this here. Again, to find a little more light there. I might start to push some more of this. 1 second here. Let's do this. Just really grind that into that brush. A little more light there. So surface tension, I hope that you're not afflicted with that giant death orb in the sky. Yeah, either that surface tension or they're about to go chase a laser pointer. Yeah, one of those two things, right? The right surface tension or both. Okay, yeah, now I'm really feeling the light on that side. Chuck a little more of that over here. Not too much. Gotta be careful here. You know what? We'll just use a different blending brush. Let me see if I can just take some of the paint off of this guy here. There we are. Thanks to Armored Wolf for posting the YouTube link and the Instagram link. And again, the Instagram is where I like to get some of the images of the painted figures and such. So go check that out. Thank you so much, Armored Wolf. Yeah, Blades. That movement tray with all the bases, that was a lot easier to transfer the drawing. Now, of course, it was very rough, but using that that was that metallic kind of bronzy eyeliner pen. That worked out really well. Yeah, surface tension. That sounds very, very, very toasty for May, especially for Welshlandia. Trying to put some more of that light there, and maybe even go a bit further with it. I can. Maybe just in this one area right there. Hey there, recoil. So recoil, it's absolutely crazy, right? That if they had just done a little bit better on percentage, they would maybe be sitting fifth on the ladder, recoil. But then nobody listens to us, right, recoil? We're just a couple of sports analysts there for Aussie Rules Football. So recoil, if you want to share some of your fabulous basing articles, that'd be fantastic. Everybody, please give Recoil 13 a follow. So thank you so much for joining us here, Rico. Appreciate that, and thanks for catching the game there. So Rico, of course, on my Facebook today, random highlights for the game were showing up, like some of those crazy goals. There was some crazy, weird goals, wasn't there, last night? Now that's got a little bit of that rosy red color. I'm going to do some more of that here. Where's my... Okay, most of my naphtha was gone. I'll have to bring that out on the palette again. There we go again. So it's got a little bit more of the rosiness to it. It's not just a value thing. It is a color thing. No, and I was glad that Mom got a chance to see that too. Recoil, of course. It was not looking all that fantabulous early on, that's for sure. I mean, even halftime, it was pretty dodgy. There we go. So again, that's that it's a loaded blending brush. We got, see, green over there, green there. We got this rosy stuff happening over here. Might throw a little more shadowy type stuff. Let me try this. Where's my little touch of that green? Maybe some of this. It's got some of the violet on there. Come on, a little more. Look at how that brush is. Oh, there we, look at how that's kind of expanded a bit. How's about a little more of that dark? Ah, that's more like it. Yep, doing this. There is paint on that brush, and it is creating that little bit of a dark that I need there. Now, how's about maybe some of that down in some of these places here? Again, what are we? We're 2 hours 40 minutes in. That's it. 2 hours 40 minutes on this bust, and it was just like a reddish brown color, and that's all there was to it. There's nothing else. And let's see if I can maybe chuck a little bit of the sort of skin color in there. Yeah, it's getting on that brush now, so we have to refresh Mr. Brush here. If we want to get some of that skin tone color in there. Also, probably in there. Also down in here. A little bit less of that yellow. Man, and you think, oh, that's a really dark color. Well, over there, it's actually a light. It's more like a middle tone. Over here, that's almost a bit of reflected light there. Now I've got to, maybe, let me try this stuff again. This is what I was putting over here. Something like that, okay? I'm going to push it this way a little bit. Oh, I'm glad, well, I'm not going to say nothing, Landress, because I'll jinx it. Yep, I'm going to shut my mouth. I'll shut my mouth and let it print, and whatever happens, happens. No problem there, Recoil. I just, it's, I just couldn't believe it, Recoil, when you look at the stats, or you look at the standings there, and they're not that much. I mean, again, they were 11th. I think actually St. Kilda was 7th just 2 weeks ago. Actually, I gotta look and see what happened with, was that the Hawthorne game? Where's my, back to my light here again. So let me scroll on down. Oh no, it was, wow, the Suns, they mopped up on Sydney. They won by 38. That's, so that puts them at 5-1, I think. So break up the Suns, Recoil. Here come the Suns. You know what? I think I can get a little bit more of my light on this armor. What's that? Yeah, that is lighter. Also, here. But I had to let that have a chance to set as well. You know what? I'm going to throw me a little bit of thinner on that. Let's see what that... ooh, okay, that's going to be pretty light there. Got to be careful. Actually, Geelong is getting kind of... They're getting beat up a little bit by the Blues there. That is not what I would have expected. And can the West Coast Eagles pull off the big upset on Hawthorn to make sure the Doggies maintain their spot on the ladder? Yeah, Rico, I just instinctively knew it's like that percentage stuff, man oh man. Because, like here, okay, if you're in your NFL, well, first of all, it's head to head. So you got 3 divisions in each conference, right? Now you got 4, North, South, East, and West. And you got to win your division to make the playoffs, and you play each of your division opponents twice, home and away. And if you have beaten your divisional rival twice in one season, doesn't matter if you have outscored every team by 100 points. If the records are the same, they are above you. Just by virtue of beating you twice in that season. They could have a score differential of 1, and yours could be 1,000. It wouldn't matter. But again, recoil, just considering how the season has gone, I'll take it, right? And yeah, when they were talking on the broadcast about Bontempelli not being out on the field, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because that's generally what happens to the Doggies, right? Recoil is they get a big win, and then they find out, oh yeah, now they're down like 4 players for the next 3 games. Chucking me a little bit. There we go. Yeah, Rico, I wonder, do we have to do a Linseed Fellowship on Footy podcast or something like that and analyze the games post-game? That way we wouldn't have to worry about, a live broadcast or something like that and trying to get the visuals there. Because I'm sure you can pretty much find all the highlights of the game, or at least even most of the game, once it's already been played. Now this thing up here, I got to get me something more than just there's not a whole bunch of anything on that. We got to get some of our phthalo green. Ooh, that's very bright. And I'll use the not radiant green, radiant green. I'm going to get that down under here. Also over here. So Blades, I'm not getting quite as many Canadian Football League highlights as I was before. I'm still getting those. I know I saw at least 5 or 6 highlights from somebody who was on the Argos. I think he was like a kick returner or something like that. Ah, he's also he's also a wide receiver too, I think. There we go. So that changed real quick, didn't it? That was just basically one big old blob of dark green. That escalated quickly. Oh, and yeah, we're using one of the Paul Rubens brushes for that. Yeah, I'm thinking that would be a very unique podcast crew, right? Covering from footy from two sides of the globe. Well, two hemispheres for sure. Worldwide coverage of footy. Can I get my last little bit of light? This is again that kind of reflected light that works its way through a gemstone. I had to let that stuff set because I was trying to do that before, and the paint just bounced off of there. Absolutely, just bounced off of that. Now again, we got a couple of different temperatures of green. This is the coolest green. This is pretty warm. Even what we're doing up there, that's relatively warm as well. And we kind of, this is a case where I initially wasn't going to do the green by the eyes. Normally I do that, but I saw in the references, I said, you know, that if you have the green eyes with kind of more of that kind of amber color above that, it would stand out more. But actually, I did need, that's weird, right? Because you would think, well, green and green, although there is a different temperature here. This the eyes are actually a cooler green. That is a warmer green on top of the eyes there. Let me throw in, you know, actually, color goes somewhere, must go everywhere. We're going to take some of this, and it's going to go out here now. It's funny, Camda, this thing, I had so little time to look at this. When I did those references, I'm like, holy smokes, those are some gigantic ears. But then this thing has way bigger ears than I thought. Oh, you know, look at that. See how there's almost no shiny up in there? I can actually start doing some of my even lighter light on the hair. Now, yeah. Once again, loaded blending brush here. It's got that turquoise on there. So Rico, yeah, that was the last time I actually saw a, well, I guess you could say listened to whatever game of footy was the last time Kathy and I watched back in that 2008 2009 era. So it was where I actually was able to catch the game with somebody else, and it is a little bit of a statement recoil on just how late I'm getting to sleep. That it used to be, you know, when the dog, for whatever reason, the doggies have those games that start at 4:30 in the morning my time, and that used to be a holy smokes. That's like almost 2 hours after I usually go to sleep. Now it's just like, oh, pff, the game is over. They sang the team song in the locker room, and I was still exercising. That's how things have changed here. Holy smokes! Now again, using this, this is one of those that just essentially, I guess you could say, a glorified craft brush. I mean, it's only about $1.70-ish or so. It is not a sable brush. We gave up on those bad boys a long time ago. Now here, this is a little bit of, again, that brushstroke maintenance here. As much as anything else. Yeah, it was never really supposed to be that way, Camda. That was not part of the plan. And I thought, you know, I was staying up pretty because I would finish the stream somewhere around 2-ish, 3-ish, something like that. Actually, no, maybe a little earlier than that. I might get me a little bit more of a white going over here. Yeah, probably. So get Rico, thank you so much for that. It was nice to be able to be listening to announcers and go, oh yeah, okay, I know where the ball is on the field because I know who's playing that position. Instead of before, it was like, name that doggy. I had no idea who the heck was out there. With all those injuries. Well, look at this, look at this. I'm going to put a little bit right over the top there. See that? I just dry brushed a little bit of that turquoise over the top. We shall do that over here. I'm going to give me some of that down in here too. Because, well, first of all, it's going to get rid of some brushy strokes. It also kind of gives me a little bit nicer color down in there. Yeah, see, now I'm feeling that turquoise in there. Might still go a little lighter with the yellow on the leaves there. Let me keep rolling with this though. Let's keep rolling with this. Again, we're doing a little bit of almost like a tinting right here. This is not a glaze. This is yeah, we're tinting with a dry brush. Most people would think that's crazy talk. That right there's crazy talk. What do you mean you're doing dry brush and you're tinting stuff? That has to be a glaze. Nope, not with the oils. Now, especially some of your more intense colors, where like your Indian yellow, that sort of thing. That is another color that you can tint with very nicely, but as just a dry brush. I wonder if it's all one piece. I can't tell if this was glued. It might have been glued on, but oh, this is hollow. You can't see the hollow, but you see a little hole right there? I think there's yeah. See, there's another hole over there. It could have been all in one piece. Again, well, we'll find out, Camda, because I'm going to try and get this file, and then I'll try to get the complete version of this, like the full figure version of this. And like I said, I'll get this file here. We'll print it out very large, especially if this is. I think this would print out just fine on the FDM. Now the ends of the ears, we'll see if those work out. Hopefully they do. Working again some of the turquoise onto this some more. Oh yeah, this is too a little lighter. A little bit more of that turquoise there. See if I can't fish in a little bit of that here. And what's funny is, I mean, I'm seeing layer lines here. This was printed in resin. And guess what? When I look at this as I'm painting, I see layer lines. I'm seeing layer lines over here too. Now, maybe not quite what you would see with, say, the FDM printer. But still, they're there. Alright, let me get a little bit more of my white into this here. Over here. That's more, yep. Gotta get some of that up here too. I'm just going to use this as a quick little, no, not that as a blending. I'm going to use this thing here as a blending brush. More of our light there. A little more, yeah, up here on this edge. Yeah, cam down. Well, I'm not going to jinx it. Just ask Velfira and Grand Oracle and a few folks. Right, say, oh yeah, I hope that your print works out. Yeah, their printer practically got destroyed just by me saying, oh, I hope that their print comes out good. So I'm not going to say anything. It is the proverbial kiss of death for me to wish success for people's prints. And no saying the opposite thing does not work either. Because I think we tried that once. I need... Oh, okay. The blending brush that I would like to use is... that's got a little too much of the orange on it. We're just going to have to do this. Nope, back to the turquoise again. Because that can't be skin tone there. Oh, also that needs to be less of the skin tone in here. Now we'll try and make this lighter once again. Yeah, that's I'll break a leg, right? That's what you're supposed to say. There's surface tension. Oh, thanks, Shrug. Appreciate that. So now I'm actually it worked out just fine. That I literally had with all the home repairs and everything I was doing today. There was no way to prep anything because now I know where this came from. Well, I mean, I could have asked Lynn also. But seeing that we're able to do some really interesting stuff on this, we'll definitely have to secure this file, secure the full figure version of it, and we'll certainly have to do larger prints of it, and we'll definitely do a, who knows, maybe even a multi-part video series or something on the really large one, where we get to do a bunch more on the eyes. I mean, I already have my AI, I already have my reference developed for it, so why not? And I'm trying to think what the prompt was. A super simple prompt. It was just something like an elf portrait. Oh yeah, that's right. You can't say female elf bust because as soon as I did that, it was like all these alarm bells went off. So I had to just say female elf portrait, which I mean basically that's what this is. And I said auburn hair, translucent cloth, and leaves. And I came up with this, and well, that worked out okay. Yeah, it was enough of a reference, and those are sitting there down in the corners. Hey there, Doji. So Doji, I think all I did was I took a Terra Rosa and did a little bit of a dry brushy stuff on the hair. Might have thrown in a little bit of Indian yellow and perhaps even just a touch of, say, Hansa yellow to lighten up a little bit more. Now, Doji, the easier way to do the the darker stuff would just be take asphaltum and such, and maybe do it that way. Maybe a little touch of well, some of our fabulous Perling Crimson. But that was just, yeah, that was just a little bit of a glaze thing, and then took the Terra Rosa, mixed a little bit of the Indian yellow, and then some of the Hansa yellow. There was a little bit of the white in there to try and give it the opacity. That's for sure surface tension. And Doji, of course, if you want to share your fabulous oil painted miniatures in the chat, please go ahead. And Doji, we now have in my hands, we got the stickers that the graphics that Surface Tension made. And Doji, I actually have Hansa Yellow. Well, obviously, the first time I got it was in the Gamblin Fast Mats. Then I got it in regular Gamblin, but this, well, whether it's, and I also have this in regular and unleaded, I guess you could say. Windsor Yellow actually is that pigment yellow 74. That is basically Hansa Yellow. Yeah, so I've got like basically 4 tubes of it in various forms now. I guess the surface tension that the next thing we need to develop is a either a paint tube or a paint container that has Welsh gray, because it's a very special kind of gray. I think we found didn't I think wasn't it last night, Camda? I was super curious and I just happened to look and I think we found one that's got pigment yellow 74. There's also one that has a really light yellow. That I found in one of the color theory and oils episodes, Camden. Now don't ask me which one that is because I don't remember. But one of them has a really light yellow, which the reason that's important because that's your main component there of brilliant yellow pale. That's a Williamsburg color, which we use for a lot of skin tone stuff. Doji, the Hansa, the I guess well, there's so many different cadmium yellows, right? Doji, there's the light, there's the deep, there's the medium. And you never. Sometimes they're different between brands, right? Doji sometimes like a cadmium yellow medium in one brand is cadmium yellow deep in another. So you would might want to make sure that that one, that little issue is resolved there. Is okay. Which kind of cadmium is it? Now, Doji, I actually haven't really used, and I don't even know how I ended up with that Windsor Yellow, like the regular Windsor Yellow, not the Alkyd version. Somebody might have actually sent me that. Maybe saying, okay, maybe this is a substitute for Brilliant Yellow Pale. I think we were looking for one of those kind of things for a while, weren't we, Doji? A replacement for Brilliant Yellow Pale. Now, I wonder. I'm going to get me a little bit of the. Okay, well, that was a little bit more of the yellow than I was thinking. Here, let me get some of that paint out of there, too. It has too much paint. There we are. A little late there. Camda, the nice thing about painting miniatures, right, is that they spend most of their life probably in a case. Usually, and most folks don't do the magnetization, so it's in a black case, surrounded by black foam, and it usually doesn't even see sunlight, right? Because it gets brought to a game store, so it's just regular incandescent light. Gray Lake surface. That's the color of all the lakes in Welshlandia. Gray Lake. Nice to see you there, Black Skull. So Black Skull, if you want to share anything in the chat, please go ahead. Everybody, please give Black Skull 1965 a follow. So great to see you there, Black Skull. I do believe that Blades is in the chat. It's almost like a mini council of miniature painters. So yeah, Doji. I mean, obviously, okay. That's something we've never been worried about, right? Yeah, from the get go. Because there was other colors. Geez, don't remember what's. Oh, like the fluorescence. Oh, this is another thing, Cam. Back when I was doing watercolors, I used to use Dr. Martin's dyes, and of course, those were kind of considered a little bit transient. That Wolf Nebula painting that I was talking about, that's been hanging on the wall in this room for decades now, and it's pretty much looks about the same as it did decades ago. Camda, that definitely does not matter whatsoever, unless you're thinking of just leaving them out like on your front window or something. In which case, if they're printed or if they're resin, they might look a little bit flatter, right? Because they would just be melted. So yeah, that is definitely something you don't have to fret about that when it comes to the miniatures. Light fastness, I don't worry about it for paintings. Certainly not going to worry about it for miniatures. Because again, none of my miniatures ever see sunlight. It's like you store your miniatures where the sun don't shine. So again, trying to make sure that the light is coming from this away here. Now, oh, that's right. I need to get there's just a teensy little touch light more. Do I use this brush? Maybe I will. But I think I do have a little bit of my white sitting out here. This is this over here. Well, now that's got some yellow on it. Let me look at my reference here. Reference. Come on. There it is. Yep, I'm going to try and go lighter here. Yeah, I can actually see that. Well, yeah, Black Skull, it was, and those things, they set up so fast. I can go back and do stuff with the Paul Rubens fluoros that I would have to maybe wait almost as much as 2 hours to do with the Marion Street. It's crazy. I mean, it is absolutely bonkers. See you later, Surface Tension. Thank you so much for being here, of course. Maybe a little bit more of that light in here. I try and see if I can't get one last. That's it. On that side of the lip there. Thank you so much, Surface Tension. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Black Skull, what's really insane, and this is so true, right, Camda, that for the price of basically two of the Marion Street oil paints, you could get the entire set of fluorescents, and that's a dozen of them. Of course, Camden, I still have to find out which is the one that I don't have that they gave me doubles of, and I still got to try the English version of that site where you sent me how do you get to the English version of it. So I think tomorrow might be my first opportunity to try that. Yeah, right, Black Skull. It's crazy. Now here we're almost able to use this like a massive liner brush right here. which is kind of what it's supposed to be. Because now we've kind of we've shaped it through usage. Come on, nope. A little more of that paint on there again. And of course, as always, a super light grip on that brush. Caress the brush. Don't crush the brush. Man, this stuff is all... I mean, that stuff is almost dry over here. I mean, and we're only 3 hours, 15 minutes in. That's crazy. So Black Skull, part of the savings is just the tubes themselves. Because if you compare the Marion Street tubes, or actually any of the Windsor Newton, the Gamblin, the Williamsburg, just the tubes themselves, you can tell they're a higher quality, like as in the metal. So I think you could probably say that 10 to 15% of the cost savings is just in the tube itself. And then there might be, well, maybe there's a, and they are definitely a weaker pigment. So, well, there is no dioxazine violet in uh, the Paul Rubens, but again, Egyptian violet will trounce it every time. I think the other thing too is they avoided some of the more, shall we say, expensive pigments. I think an awful lot of the colors that you would see in the Paul Rubens line are your much more common colors, and where it is a more complex thing, like okay, say a cobalt blue, it's not cobalt blue. It's some kind of other hue or something like that. It definitely does not have actual cobalt in there. Yeah, Black Skull. The if you I think you saw the video, right, where that was the first one where I ended up with the zinc white, and man, that was really that was a very weak color. Yeah, the zinc white is kind of off to the side. And what was the one? It was Pale Rose Blush. Yeah, that was the first time we ran afoul of the zinc white curse there. Yeah, the zinc white that became an unplayable misery burden right there, as you would say in Age of the Renaissance. How's about we do a little something there? Yeah, Black Skull. It was the Pale Rose Blush where I went, what in the world is this? And then we looked, and instead of pigment white number 6, I think it was pigment white number 4, whatever zinc white is. And of course, over Easter, I was talking with my brother-in-law because, well, metallurgy is what he's been doing for a living for most of his life. And when he was explaining zinc and everything else, it made total sense why zinc white is a very weak color in comparison to titanium white. It's almost like let's say you're doing something with watercolors or acrylics, and you want to have like a semi-opaque color. That's what you would end up with, because no white in watercolors is truly opaque, just because of how it is formulated, and well, it's watercolors. Try that. Let me shift this over a little. I'm going to try and work a little bit more of that lighter think in here is going to be a little bit too light, so I'm going to let that mix with what is there. Perhaps a little more light over here. Again, so that this side is different from our left side here. So yeah, the zinc white is something that, I mean, maybe I'm just using something for terrain or whatever, and I just don't want to use up titanium white. Maybe I'll use it there, but otherwise, not really going to see a whole lot of usage. I'm going to try and lighten that up a smidge more here. Also here. This, the top of this ear, let me see what I can do on this here. Again, very light grip on that brush. This ear should probably catch a little more light, so I don't mind getting more of that down in here, maybe even on the bottom edge of that ear. Let me do this here. I'm going to put some of this over here. I was trying to get some of the rosy color over here. That ended up just getting almost too dark. Nope, nope, nope. If I'm going to do that, that would be over here. I think we have a little bit of a weird transition, so that is where I think this is going to be handy again. Here, let me get some of that rosier color there. I'm going to reconstitute our filbert brush here. There we are. That's better. Yes, okay. I got a little more light on it, and hopefully now that there, yeah, see, we almost had to kind of put a little bit of paint in that area so we had something that we could actually mix with. Oh, it was actually, it was a bust. It was a bust that we used, a pale rose blush, and I was trying to do basically stuff like this. Because it was, okay, could pale rose blush do a lot of the stuff that we are doing with some of these skin tones, and we were harshly found out that nope, that is not what you want to be using. That was not it. Is that going to be too... it might be too... Let me just... oh, there was too much thinner on it anyways. Oh, that is borderline too light. We gotta be super light with that brush stroke then. Touch more light maybe on the collarbone there. Now we got this crazy brown violet stuff going on. I could be some of this green again. Mix it with that, because what does green and violet do? It makes basically a grayish color. Again, looking to darken this down a little more. kind of did that on the arm there. And I'll be using our blackest black. See you later there, Doji. And again, Doji, I think you had a chance to post your Dark Eldar there, right? Those are looking fantastic, of course. So appreciate you being here, Doji, and happy Monday to you. Now again, the Monday stream is kind of conditional here, depending on some factors. It's sort of like the same thing of weeks ago, where I was like, well, okay, hopefully we get to do our usual Armada Mondays. No matter what, it's going to be more of the orc ships. So the subject of it is, well, that is set. It's not going to change. It might happen just a whole lot later. I mean, who knows? It might be more like Armada Tuesday. Which is, that's kind of a bummer because it was sort of nice. These more like 10:30-ish starts here. Alright, that is going to get me a little bit more of our lighter skin tone over there. I'm not going to use the cleaner. I'm just going to use a paper towel here, and I'm just going to try and squeeze out much of that paint as I can, and see we're basically left with a microfilbert brush there. Is this going to be light enough or too light? Oh, it's pretty light, but super light brush stroke. And that mixes, as we do it, mixes along the way. Once again, the light's coming down this way. We need to get a little bit of the light over here. Here we're almost doing a little bit of cross-hatching. Basically the brush coming from different angles, which also serves to blend that and soften any weird edges or brush strokes. This over here by this eye. And I might also over here on that side of them, I might try to go a little bit lighter there, and then also on that nostril. Yeah, we need a little some kind of reflected light there. So, no, that's actually going to be too dark on that side. Hey there, Thranuel, how you doing? Hopefully you're a little bit less tired there, Thranuel. Happy Sunday to you. Back to some more light over here on the back of this arm. A little more of our light over here. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that. I was saying earlier in the stream, now that I know where this comes from DM Stash, and there's actually a miniature version of it. I'm going to try and get the files, and we'll certainly try and print this one out super big on the FDM printer. And we'll see what the miniature looks like. Chuck a little bit of that light over there too. Well, Thranuel, hopefully you can get a little bit of sleep between rounds or something like that at the tournament. Nope, nope, no. I'm going to leave that alone. Let's not mess with that. A little bit of the lighter flesh tone there. No, let's refresh that. Yeah, that would have been unfortunate there. Once again with this loaded blending brush or loaded dry brush. I just right Cam, I just have to have that kind of that bizarre look on my face. Like all of those thumbnails have that, like they've just, I don't know, seen a ghost or like a naked ghost or something. I don't know. And they just have that bizarre look on their face, like they're just completely surprised about something, whatever the heck it is. And then the video itself has nothing to do with whatever the thumbnail was about. Get me some of this magenta. Come on, there we go. A little bit of the magenta in there. Now a little bit of this this crazy violet color. Nah, more of the magenta. What I'm trying to do is get... now we got it. It's not going to be super dark, but... a little something something for in here. In the hair. They all have that really freaky look on their face, right, Camda? I mean, even Max, I had to stop. I mean, if he goes live, I'll catch his live stream, but I don't even look at the his forecast vids anymore because it's all the same thing. Everyone's gonna die. It's like, okay, well, you've taken too many bites out of that apple. There's another MESBG creator that every thumbnail is about, I got $10,000 worth of plastic. And he's got that, again, that same weird look on his face. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll move on. We're going to move on here to some of this nice dark in these recesses right here. Yeah, I'm just starting to visualize some of, what kind of clickbait alkids thing that we should do just for hilarity. Oh, okay, that was a lot of thinner, but yes, there wasn't a lot of paint in that. All right, nope, we gotta change that around. Take some more paint out of that. In you go. And now our highlights are a little bit lighter there. By virtue of making all this stuff darker. Also, I think a little bit of edge sharpening there too. Yeah, Camja, now I'm starting to visualize, because at least I think 3 different people did graphics for that. Having that be part of that time. Oh, gee whiz. Okay. How's about... We never got any of the skin tone color on the back of the ears. Let's do that now. There is a little bit of a question, though. You know what? I'm going to actually do a little... I'm going to do this a little different here than I was originally thinking. I'm going to actually take this kind of almost like a greenish color here. At least in that lower section, because that will also be that sort of a color contrast then with all the reddish orange in the hair. Now we're going to go a little bit more of a rosier skin tone. It's still kind of on the grayish side though. Oh yeah, that's either like again that totally surprised look, or that the super sad look, like their dog just something bad just happened to their dog or something. Now now I can mix in a little bit of the rosy color there. Okay, end of the ear there. Now let's see, that really is almost kind of in shadow here. That might almost be getting a little lighter than I'd like it to be. I'm gonna steal you as a blending brush here, maybe. Any more of that down in here? Sure. So the light that's over here on this side, maybe that needs to be... Oh, okay. Let me try this. Hopefully that's not going to be too light, but what I need to do... That's borderline too light, but that lip was too thick over there. We had to thin that down a little. But no, I had to... It's going to be a delicate thing. I got to go the other way. And either light... No, I need to go even darker. Where's my... Maybe this will do it. Okay, that's it. Yep, I was getting kind of on the lighter side than what I really wanted there. Should I go just a touch darker on that side of the... I'll do it. If I don't like it, I can just change it back. So, there's so it's kind of a... Almost a bit of a... It's almost a bit of a violet. Maybe I need more of the green in that. So, looking on this top side of the nose here. A touch darker there. Perhaps a little more here in the neck, maybe. Guess I need a little more thinner, too. Alright, fine. Oh, that might be too much, but let's see where this takes us. Oof, that is dark. No doubt about it. Now we start spreading that out. Same on the other side. Again, that kind of concept of the plop and push. You just plop a color on there. You either grab yourself a loaded dry brush or something, whatever, a loaded blending brush. Then you just start pushing that around. The next tricksy thing that needs to happen is some reflected light on the underside of the schnoz there. That's going to be a little tricky. Let me get some of this orange in there. That's getting to be pretty light. Like we will reverse course just a smidge there. Because if the reflected light is just too much, like what is she holding a flashlight in her face or something like that? Or dark, yeah, a little touch of that right there. So I'm starting to feel like there is now some reflected light on the underside of the nose. I will try to maybe darken. Oh, that's gonna be way too dark. I can tell straight away. Okay, now we see that? See, we got reflected light on the on that snoot there. I might even, yeah, I see. I kind of strengthened up the dark on that side of the eye. Now the up here we got more of the greens, right? That pearline black, that kind of bluish green over here. This is more of a burgundy type of a color here on the lower eyelid. And now I think I have both eyes. Yeah, they're looking in the same direction. You can hold this up in a mirror. You can take a picture of it. You can hold it upside down. That's one of the ways you can say, okay, are the eyes actually aligned where they should be?